Hello and welcome back to another episode of Steele Talkin Sports. I am your host, Jay Steele, and let's get talking. I have sound right now. Thank you, and welcome back. I am your host, Jay Steele. It is a fantastic day to get back to talking some sports. If you have not been with us, it's been a long summer. It's been a long summer without football. I was a little lazy getting my stuff together for week one. So I was not prepared for last week when week one kicked off. That was my bad. But I am back in the saddle right now, and I'm ready to get cracking on some NFL. I had a fantastic week one. Watching the games was electric as always. Red Zone never disappoints. Scott Hansen never disappoints. So happy to have football back. I hope you all are too. It's an amazing time of the year. Fall is right here on our doorstep, and we've got football to watch damn near every day. We've got to wait till October until we get some MAC games in the college realm in the Tuesday Wednesday night area. But we got Thursday night games tomorrow. We got Friday college football, Saturday college football, and of course NFL football on Sunday. So week one was interesting. I'm sure you all were just as anxious to watch the games as I was. Had some good games, had some bad games. Let's recap the week one results so we know where everyone stands, and then we'll get on to making some picks and some analysis for week two. So give me 1 second here, and I'll get all the scores pulled up for week one, and we'll go over those things in just a second. Kicked off on Thursday, Cowboys and Eagles. Eagles get the win 24-20. I know they were favored big in that game, depending on when you got the number, minus 6.5, 7.5, even I think saw some 8.5s out there. Dallas played pretty well, to be honest. I'm a Dallas fan. You guys know that. And I thought they ran the ball very well, especially in the first half. Dak looked very confident throwing the ball, looked like he and his receivers had been working very hard in the offseason to be on the same page. I know Dak's numbers don't look that great, 21 of 34, only 188 yards passing and no touchdowns, but the passes he did complete were clean, man. And if he didn't find anything deep over the middle, he was okay with the check down. So honestly, I like the way Dak played. We had a chance to win the game. Two unfortunate drops by CD Lamb in the late two last drives kind of hurt us, obviously, but I'm happy with the result. We got crushed by the Eagles in two games last year, so I thought that was a much better performance. On the Eagles side, they looked like they got some questions. A.J. Brown only got one target, and that was in the last 2 minutes of the game. Saquon Barkley looked good, but not like last year's Saquon. And then Jalen Hurts did his thing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 14 carries for 62 yards. You got to keep an eye on that guy in the pocket, and if you don't use a linebacker as a spy, you're in real trouble. So great game on Thursday night to kick it off last week. Sucks to get the loss, but Cowboys played well. I'm happy about that. Friday, we had Chiefs and Chargers in Brazil. Chargers get the win 27-21. That was surprising because Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did not look good. I know they got 21 points, but that was an ugly 21 points to put together. Not very impressed in that game at all. Hopefully they turn it around this week with the Eagles coming to town, but we'll get there when we get there. Moving on to Sunday's games, Bucks have a nice comeback against the Falcons, 23-20. Michael Penix actually looked really good, 27 of 42, 298 yards and a touchdown. Bijan Robinson, he had 6 catches out of the backfield for 100 yards and a TD. That guy might be a problem catching passes this year, so everybody look out. But great win by Baker and the Bucks. Bengals get the W over the Browns 17-16. Um, I had bet the Bengals over 27.5 points in this game at plus money. I thought they were easily going to get to the window with that after the first drive of the game goes for 7, and then they just slowed down from there. That was an ugly game to watch. Did not like how on Red Zone that was like the most covered game, even though it was an ugly game for a long time. Dolphins get demolished by the Colts 33-8. I guess Daniel Jones is good. Not quite sure. He was 22 of 29, 272 yards passing, and a touchdown. And he had a rushing touchdown. Actually, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, I think. I want to say Danny Dimes had 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries for 71 yards. Not that impressive, but Daniel Jones did most of the work. Yeah, Daniel Jones, 7 carries, 26 yards, 2 tutties. He hasn't looked that good since like his second season in New York when they really thought he was going to be something. So great job by the Colts. Shane Steichen obviously found something with his guy there, and very impressed. And that game was over 10 minutes into the game. Colts really put a whooping on the Dolphins. Tua looks more scared than he ever has in the pocket, and I'm not sure if any of his teammates on the offensive line want to actually block for him. So that was ugly. I do not know what to expect from the Dolphins, but I do not want to back the Dolphins anytime soon. Raiders get the W over the Patriots 20-13. This was actually a good game, back and forth. Raiders would take a lead. Looked like the Pats are going to be out of it. Then the Pats make a strong drive down the field. Don't really know what to expect from Ashton Genty. 19 carries, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Actually right at 2 yards per carry in his first game as a pro. Not very impressive. Geno did throw 24 for 34, 362 yards, and a touchdown. So obviously no issues switching teams for Geno. He is not having a problem slinging the ball down the field just like he did the past couple of years. So he keeps on the same train that he has been rolling on. I had that game wrong. I bet the Patriots -2.5 in that game, so that was a tough pill to swallow. Cardinals get the W 20-13 over the Saints. Spencer Rattler and the Saints did have a chance to tie this game toward the end, but really it was never a contest. The Cardinals controlled this game from start to finish, basically. Best game in the 1 o'clock window was Pittsburgh at the New York Jets. Final score, Pittsburgh 34-32. Honestly, I thought this game was going to be all about defense, and this would be an under 30-point game, and it ended up being the highest scoring game until Sunday Night Football. So very confused about what happened here would be the best way to describe it. Justin Fields looked awesome in a Jets uniform, was very impressive, including a nice touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson, also a rushing touchdown on his own. Aaron Rodgers looked like the old Aaron Rodgers, throwing for 4 touchdowns, 22 of 30 for 244 and 4 tutties. Very impressive from Aaron Rodgers, even though, I don't know, the game wasn't that impressive besides that one crazy catch that DK Metcalf made laying on his back on the ground. This game was kind of boring in a way. Like, they were slugging it out. It was in the rain, but super impressed by Pittsburgh to be able to put up that many points. That's not a Pittsburgh style of game to be able to put up that many points and win. So quite impressive in that game from both teams. Giants go on the road to the Commanders, get beat 21-6. Commanders didn't really have to do a lot. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, otherwise known as Bill, first career game, 10 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Super awesome stuff by 6th or a 7th round pick. Good for that guy. Jaden Daniels, nothing too special, 19 of 30, 233 yards passing, and a touchdown. But Deebo Samuel, nice first game as a Commander, 7 catches for 77 yards. The Giants are trash. Russell Wilson is not the answer. I think they would be better off playing Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart. Either one would give you a better opportunity to win than Russell Wilson at this point in the season. Jaguars get the W over the Panthers, 26-10. Although there was a lightning delay in this game, late first quarter, early second quarter, Jacksonville really never had a problem with this game. It was over from the start. Panthers are trash. Bryce Young still can't see over the offensive line. He's pretty awful. However, Tedero and McMillan for Carolina, their top 10 pick in this year's draft, 5 catches, 68 yards in his debut. Pretty good game. Travis Etienne for the Jaguars, 16 carries, 143 yards. Very, very nice game. Move on to the 4 o'clock window. Broncos get the W over the Titans. I definitely would have picked Broncos minus 8.5 in that game, and they only win by 8, so I'm glad I did not bet it. Cam Ward didn't look bad, but he didn't look great either. Still got to see a little bit more out of Cam Ward. The way that I saw him throwing passes in the pocket, I did not like it. My initial thoughts when I first saw a couple of drives is he's going to have to change his mechanics because the sidearm, like shortstop flick type throw is not going to work. He's going to have so many passes batted down at the line of scrimmage from defensive linemen that are 6'5", 6'4". Those passes are not going to work. He's got to get a bit more over the top and get those balls out with a bit more accuracy and a bit more firepower. But 20-10, they held their own. They had a chance to tie the game late. It is what it is. 49ers get the W over the Seahawks, even though George Kittle went down with injury to the hamstring during that game. I think he is on IR, so that will be a big loss for the Niners for the foreseeable future until he can return. But Niners do get a W on the road in Sam Darnold's debut as a Seahawk. Brock Purdy in that game, 26 of 35, 277 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Packers get the W over the Lions, 27-13. Jordan Love looked very good. The Lions did not. I think that's probably a product of losing their offensive and defensive coordinators to other teams for head coaching jobs. Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, went to the Jets, and Ben Johnson is obviously with the Chicago Bears. I think the Lions were missing something in that game, and it definitely showed because the Packers took a lead right away, and they had no problem stopping the Lions for at least the first 3 quarters. So nice win by the Packers. We'll see how they do tomorrow night. We'll get to that game here in a few minutes. Next up, we had the Rams and Texans game. If you watched this game in the 4 o'clock window, then I applaud you because this was one of the more boring things to see on Red Zone. A 14-9 game. My goodness, this was boring. Puka Nacua, 10 catches, 130 yards, and he got his face busted up on a play. Matthew Stafford goes over the 60,000 yards passing mark for his career. That was pretty awesome. And Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford looked like they had a decent little connection going during that game. So excited to see what happens down the road with that team. But besides, maybe the Rams have a really good defense, but CJ Stroud did not look good. And if the Rams can only put up 14 points against the Houston defense, then they're going to lose a lot of games to a lot of other teams. So we'll see what happens with those teams going down the road. Now, probably the best game of the freaking week. Bills 41, Ravens 40. What an absolute just show-stopping game. Josh Allen, 33 of 46 to 394 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he had a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns in a loss. That is unheard of. Keon Coleman, 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. By far his best game of his young career. Josh Allen had 2 rushing touchdowns, 14 carries, 30 yards. Lamar Jackson over here, 6 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. 14 of 19 passing, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Lamar didn't do anything wrong. It was just the one fumble by Derrick Henry and the inability of Baltimore to be able to stop a team when they have a 2-score lead at the end of the game. Don't give Josh Allen the ball and don't give him time, because that is a madman right there. And that was so fun to watch. Just an absolute show put on by Josh Allen in that game. That was an electric game. I hit 2 crazy parlay, or I hit a touchdown parlay, the Josh and Lamar rushing boost, and the Buffalo money line. That was a week 1 saver for me. That saved my whole week during that game right there. So that was a fun one to watch. Hard to top that performance throughout the rest of the year. That was just one of the best games that you could possibly watch. And then last but not least, on Monday night, Vikings get the W over the Bears, 27-24, with 21 points in the first quarter by their second-year, technically rookie player, J.J. McCarthy. Caleb Williams and the Bears looked really good in the first half. Stalled out, but he was making good plays, making good decisions. And J.J. McCarthy looked terrible in the first half. And then when they came out of the locker room, things changed. J.J. threw a pick 6, and then he just went to the team and was like, I got this. And he most certainly did. So great job, J.J. McCarthy. Hats off to you, kid. Played well. Really impressed by what you did in your first start as a professional. And that wraps up the recap for last week. Let me get my slides up, and we will start making some picks for week 2. Give me 1 second. And nope. Give me 1 second. It's been a while since I've done episodes, so having trouble figuring out what screen to share. Hold on. There we go. Window. Slides. Here we go. All right. Let's get you down there. All right, here we go. So last year, I just wanted to show my pick record. This was all weeks, week 1 through week 17. I don't think I included playoff records, but I mean, first year making picks on a pick show, 64-55-2. You can't hate being plus money. Wins are better than losses, and if you have more wins than you have losses, then you've done pretty good. All right. Game 1 of week 2, we have the Washington football team Commanders going into Green Bay to take on the Packers Thursday night, 8:15. Packers are favored -3.5. and the over-under is set at 48. I hope you all can see this. If not, someone please let me know. I could make this full screen if you need to. But these numbers here you see on the screen in these slides are pulled from profootballreference.com. I just scroll down and find this little matchup chart, and that's all that I do. The only other piece of data that I use to make picks on games is going to be oddsshark.com. That is odds, ODDS, shark, SHARK.com. I like OddsShark because it has basically like a predictive score algorithm for each game. And I just like to look at that, see what the computer model tells me, and then it leads me into making my own, decision about the game. I don't always follow OddsShark, but I like to see their opinion and, what their predictive models are saying. So their predictive model for this game has Green Bay 27-20, means they would cover the -3.5, but technically that total would go under the points of 48. So there's that. Obviously, both teams played at home, so they got a 1-0 home record. Both teams did cover the numbers, so both are 1-0 ATS. We see there's only one game of data on this sheet, so please bear in mind with that some of these numbers, we really won't have good ideas about what these look like until week 3, week 4, when teams have played a couple more games and these numbers can kind of average out and find the mean. But right now, there's one game of data, so things are what they are. Obviously, Washington scored 21. They let up 6, so they're the first in points allowed. No takeaways or no takeaway differential. Packers are +1 with a turnover against Jared Goff. 212 pass yards per game. Rush yards per game, 220. That's actually very impressive. The Packers only accumulated 78 yards on the ground. But the Packers defense only allowed 46 yards on the ground, as you can see down here in the bottom right. In this game, I don't really like the Packers that much. I know that they have an advantage playing home at Lambeau Field. But I'm not a Jordan Love fan. I'm not totally sold on Jordan Love. I need to see more from Jordan Love before I will be totally on board that he is a good quarterback. Now, I'm totally on board with Jaden Daniels on the other team. I think that guy is electric. I think he's going to be an MVP very, very soon. And I certainly hope that, for my bet's sake, that he leads his team to the Super Bowl this year and beats the Buffalo Bills, because that is the exact Super Bowl matchup that I have bet. However, for this game, I do think this could be a possible NFC Championship game right here in front of us in Week 2. In this game, I'm going to take the +3.5 with Washington. I just think they can keep it close. I think Jaden Daniels' running ability with Deebo Samuel on the outside, as well as Terry McLaurin. Austin Eckler looked like he's still a bruiser back there at his age. I'm going to take Washington plus the 3.5. I may think about the money line, but for right now, we're just going to take the points plus 3.5. I do think Washington can win this game. So I don't know. Depending on how you feel, if you like the plus money on the money line right now, I'd go ahead and take it because this might get down to a 3 or maybe a 2.5 by game time on Sunday. Or actually, no, this is Thursday, so this line's probably set in stone. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, night game at Lambeau on a Thursday. I bet the casual Wisconsin fans are going to bet this up to maybe -4 tomorrow. Maybe, but these NFL lines are pretty sharp. So, yeah, I'm going to take Washington plus the 3.5. Maybe sprinkle the money line if you're feeling frisky. But I do like Washington in that first game. I do think they can win, but I also think that they just cover the spread. Game number 2, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals. 1 o'clock on Sunday. Cincinnati favored -3.5. Over under is set at 48.5. Jags played at home, beat the Panthers. Bengals were on the road at Cleveland and squeaked out a 1-point win. This is a tricky one to me because I feel like these teams are almost identical. They have a lot of talent on offense. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The defenses can be pretty strong. However, the Bengals did just give up 278 yards passing to none other than Joe Flacco. Meanwhile, the Jaguars looked really good against Bryce Young, and the Panthers. I bet Bengals -5.5 last week, and that one came back to bite me because they could not hold a lead. I don't know if Jacksonville can keep pace with Cincinnati, but my bet in this game is the over 48.5. I would definitely go with the over 48. I like what I saw. Well, I wouldn't say I like what I saw out of the defenses because the Bengals game was only 33 points. The Jacksonville 36 points, 26-10. But it's not like you could say the defenses were great. I think it was more or less the offenses of the opposing teams were not that good. So it makes the defense look better, if that makes sense. However, I think both defenses could kind of take a step back in this game, and you see offenses succeed. Maybe this is like a 30-24 game. Jacksonville has the ball in the last couple of minutes with a chance to tie, but eventually they don't. So if I had to pick a side, I would probably say Cincinnati -3.5, but my bet for this game is actually going to be the over. Ace, stop barking. I'm trying to do a show here, bud. Over 48.5. And just for reference, the odds shark pick for this game has a predictive score of Cincinnati 25 to Jacksonville 18, 18.7. We'll call it 19, so 25-19. And of course they're predicting an under, so that's probably going to come true, but I'm sticking with my over. Next up on Sunday, we have the New York Football Giants on the road at the Dallas Cowboys. I forgot an at symbol right there. There we go. Both teams 0-1. Dallas is favored -5.5 points. Over-under is set at 44.5. We just talked about this. The Giants did not look good. Russell Wilson as their quarterback did not look good. 23rd in pass yards per game, 23rd in rush yards per game. Those are not good. I know Dallas only put up 188 passing yards, but that's better than the Giants, and that's good for 18th. 119 yards on the ground. I think that was the most impressive thing that we did. 10th in the league through week 1. I can't remember the last time that we were 10th in the league in rushing after even 1 week. So pretty impressive. But the Giants suck. I think Dallas is a much better team. Our offense looked good against Philadelphia. So I have no problem backing Dallas here with the -5.5. I would probably say under 44.5 because I don't think the Giants are going to put up 10 or 15 points. So unless Dallas goes out here and wins 45-0, I don't think there's any chance this gets to an over. Dixie, stop. Sorry, my dog's chugging water like it's going out of style. Next up on 1 o'clock on Sunday, we have the Chicago Bears on the road at the Detroit Lions. Both teams 0-1. Detroit favored -5.5, and the over-under is set at 47.5. Um, like I just spoke about a few minutes ago, Chicago did not look good in the second half of the game, really the last three quarters of the game. They looked good for one drive in the first quarter, and it kind of went downhill after that. Detroit did not look good in any part of the game. So I don't really know what to make of this game, but I do know that the head coach for the Chicago Bears was the offensive coordinator for the Lions for the past few years. So either one of two things are going to happen. The Bears are going to go in there and run some trick play nonsense and fool the hell out of the Lions and surprise them, cover the 5.5, maybe win the game. Or the Lions are going to take everything they learned from Ben Johnson and shove it right up his keister. So I have no idea what to make of this game. But I think I'm going to play the under 47.5. I don't think either team can score this many points. I know Chicago put up 20 against Minnesota. They were lucky to get to 20. If anybody with a decent defense was playing that team, they would have held them to 10 because Caleb Williams wasn't that good to score 20 points. The Lions, on the other hand, only put up 13, and basically 10 of that was in garbage time. I don't know what to make of them. If I had to pick a side, I would definitely pick the Detroit minus 5.5, but I can't bring myself to bet that one. So it would be under 47.5. Chicago, Detroit. I just don't see a lot of points being scored in that game. I think the defenses show up and they make the coaches really dig deep into the offensive playbook to find some things that work. Go. Next up, LA Rams on the road at the Tennessee Titans. Long road trip and a 1 o'clock kick. That's a 10 a.m. kickoff if you're on LA time. So this may be a bit of a challenge for the Rams here. Rams favored minus 5.5. Over under is set at 41.5. Like I talked about with the Tennessee Denver matchup, I mean, they were in the game the entire game. Denver did not impress in any way. So maybe Tennessee's going to have some feistiness in them. I still don't know what to make of the Rams. They only put up 14 points against the Texans. Obviously, if they played that same kind of game, 14-9, the Titans are going to cover that 5.5 right here. And I don't know if the Titans are good for the 5.5, but I do feel like Cam Ward is going to have a decent game in his first home game as a pro. So this may be a dumb play, but I'm going to say Tennessee plus the 5.5. I think they can keep it close. They lose by 3. It'll probably be a tied game going into the fourth quarter, and Matt Stafford and Sean McVay will just find a way to hold the ball and kick a field goal with time expiring. So that's the way I see this game going. I like Matthew Stafford a lot. He's a fun quarterback to watch, and Cam Ward will, remains to be seen. But I like the way they fought in Denver. I think they can keep it close and keep this within the number. Next up, we have New England on the road at Miami. Both teams 0-1. Miami is favored minus 1.5 points, and the over-under is set at 42.5. I have no idea what to make of this game because both teams kind of stunk the other day. Miami really stunk. That was probably the worst performance of the day outside of the New York Giants. And New England, they had chances. They just couldn't complete drives. A lot of bad plays, but I mean, Drake May did put up 276 yards through the air. That was quite impressive. Yeah, I can't bet Miami in this game. It's gonna be New England plus 1.5. It's a short money line, but I would probably bet New England on the money line as well. I I am not a believer in Tua. He throws a great lefty ball when he slings it, but the short passes I don't like. His confidence in the pocket is bad. You can tell he's still worried about that hip that he's been having problems with since he was at Alabama. I just don't know what to make of this kid right now, and all the concussion problems that we've had the past few years. It's hard to know whether he's going to stay upright. And every time he gets tackled, it's like I flinch myself because I think he's going to crumble. He's just so small, just like Bryce Young, that those are delicate quarterbacks, man. If they get hurt, it's I get it. They're all football players, but your size, your body size matters. And at the quarterback position, guys with those frail, fragile frames, I'll say that one 5 times fast. They're just prone to so many injuries, and so I don't like the Dolphins in this matchup. I think they're a pretty bad team. Definitely going to go with New England in this game. San Francisco on the road at New Orleans. San Francisco is favored -4.5 points. Over under is set at 42.5. This is another West Coast team traveling east, I'll say. New Orleans is not technically East Coast, but this will be a 1 o'clock kick. So technically a 10 a.m. kickoff for those San Francisco 49ers. Good thing for San Francisco. They went on the road to Seattle and got a W last week. So possibly they can do the same thing again and start out with a 2-0 record on the road to start the season. That would be pretty impressive. They didn't move the ball as well as I thought they would. Obviously, Kittle going down in the first half with the hamstring kind of hurts. I thought Ricky Pearsall would have a bit bigger of a game. He did have one long catch for like 30 yards, 35 yards. That was really nice. But I was expecting him to have a bit bigger game. Not being shot in the offseason certainly helps. So good to see him back and healthy. But San Francisco just finds a way to win. I mean, Brock Purdy threw up a prayer to the end zone on that last touchdown play. And whoever that guy was, John Tonjes, never heard of his name. But great catch, just snagged that thing right out of the air. Super win in Seattle. Tough place to play. This game, however, I don't know. The Saints are bad. Spencer Rattler is not good. They kind of make it interesting in the late part of the game, but at the end of the day, San Francisco is too much. San Francisco -4.5 is my play in this one. I don't really like it. Probably not a game that I'm actually going to bet, but that should be an interesting watch nonetheless. Buffalo on the road at the New York Jets. 1 o'clock. Buffalo favored -6.5 points. Over under is set at 46.5. Obviously, we talked about it a little while ago. The Buffalo and Baltimore game was outstanding, and the Jets played a really good game at home against Pittsburgh. If the Jets could do the same thing in this game and cover a 6.5 against Buffalo, I would be wildly impressed. I don't think that's possible, but you never know. It may just be the game script, and that was how the game was supposed to be played. But this is a tough one. On one hand, I could see New York keeping it close and then eventually losing by a field goal. But also, I could see Buffalo coming into this game like, hey, we got to fix some stuff after last week. Like, I know the Ravens are a good team, but we shouldn't need a 15-point comeback in the fourth quarter. So I think this might be a game where Buffalo puts the gas pedal down and wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns. So definitely going to be playing the Buffalo -6.5 in this game. Over under 46.5. I mean, based on Buffalo's defense, I would say over. But also this could be another thing where like they just turn it on this week and give up 6 points. So really don't want to mess with the over-under in this game, but I do like Buffalo minus the touchdown. Next up, we have Seattle on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1 o'clock on Sunday. Pittsburgh favored minus 2.5 points. Over-under is set at 39.5. Pittsburgh took a road win. Seattle lost at home. Neither team covered the number. Obviously, you've got Aaron Rodgers on one side, Sam Darnold on the other. Or actually, I should say it like this. You have Sam Darnold on one side of the field. You have T.J. Watt lining up against him. That's really all you got to say, and I'm playing Pittsburgh minus 2.5. I think this is a game that Mike Tomlin really turns the defense on. They get after Sam Darnold because he did not look as good in that system in Seattle last week as he did the entire season in Minnesota. Maybe there's something to Kevin McConnell up in Minnesota being like a quarterback whisperer because he just threw J.J. McCarthy into the fire on a Monday night and made him look like an all-star. So I think there's something to be said with the head coach there. And yes, he brought it out of Sam Darnold last year, but that doesn't mean that the head coach for Seattle can bring the same thing out of Sam Darnold this year. So with all that being said, Pittsburgh minus 2.5 is the way that I am going to go in that game. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns on the road at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is favored minus 11.5 points. I even saw minus 12.5 earlier. Over under set at 44.5. This could definitely be a game where Baltimore just destroys the shit out of somebody after the way they lost last week. But this is the AFC North. So just keep that in mind. The AFC North is always a wild thing. Teams that shouldn't be close in games end up being close. I'm going to reluctantly say Cleveland plus the 12.5 points right now, but there's no way I bet this game. I wouldn't bet this game with your money. So don't bet it. Don't bet it. Please don't bet it. Moving on to the 4 o'clock window. Here we go. Denver on the road at Indianapolis. 4 o'clock Eastern. Denver minus 1.5. Over under set at 43.5 points. I have no idea what to do in this game. Denver did not look good at home against Tennessee, and Indianapolis looked like Peyton Manning has come out of retirement and he's back on the Colts. I have no idea if Daniel Jones can do that 2 weeks in a row. And I have no idea if he can do it to a Denver Broncos defense. But what I will say is I think the wrong team is favored. I honestly do. The more I stare at this Denver minus 1.5, after last week, what would make you think that Denver is 1.5 points better than Indianapolis? I think this is the wrong line. I think Indianapolis should be favored in this game. And based on, look at this. They had 4th most points scored, 2nd fewest points allowed, 1st in takeaway differential with 3. They had 2 interceptions on Tua and a fumble. Top 10 in every category. I get it. It's one game, but still, they're top 10 in everything. Yeah, the wrong team is favored in this game. Indianapolis plus 1.5. May even play with an alt line and go across 0 to minus 1.5 or minus 2. I know it's 1 week of football and it's 1 week of data, but Indianapolis was the much better team last week. I'm going to bet the team at home that has already played a game at home. Now you've got Denver going to Indianapolis. Not as big of a travel spot. Also, it's a 4:00 game, so that's like a 1 or a 2 p.m. kickoff for Denver time. So it's not as crazy as like the Rams going east or anything, but still, I I like the Colts in this game. Yeah, give me Indianapolis. Carolina on the road at the Arizona Cardinals, 4:05 Eastern time. Cardinals favored -6.5. Over under is set at 44.5. I've already said my piece on Carolina. I think they stink. The numbers show it right here: 29th in points scored, 24th in points allowed, 29th in takeaway, pass yards per game, 27th, defensive rush yards per game, 30th. I don't really think there's anything you can point to the Carolina Panthers in that game that they did well. And I'm being generous because I'm like an anti-Panther fan, like through and through. Cardinals looked pretty good. It was the Saints. I would assume that they probably flew back to Phoenix on Sunday. Oh, yeah. Sorry. For some reason, I thought this was Arizona at Carolina. Never mind. James Conner and Trey Benson looked good in the running back room for the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison still doing Marvin Harrison things. Trey McBride looked good, and Kyler Murray was running the ball. Very impressed from the Cardinals overall. I get it, it's one game, but they did go on the road to New Orleans and get a nice W in week 1. I'm going to back the Cardinals here again, -6.5. Seems like a steep number, but it's probably the right number. Also, I may be using the Cardinals in a survivor pick this week. I used Jacksonville last week against Carolina, so maybe I'll just go against Carolina as long as I can. But we'll see. We'll get to that. Next up, Super Bowl rematch. Philadelphia at Kansas City, 4:25 Eastern time. Philadelphia -1.5. Over under is set at 46.5. Honestly, I don't know. After watching Kansas City on Friday, I don't know if they have what it takes. This is a very short number, and I mean, all you need is a field goal by Philadelphia to win this game. It's not that crazy. But game down in Brazil, tough divisional matchup. Now you come home to Kansas City. Your whole fan base wants revenge on this team. Andy Reid's going to have something drawn up. I can't go away from Kansas City at home. That's my takeaway in this game. Also, I like the over 46.5. I think both teams get on the board, score some points. So I like the over, and I like the Chiefs. Plus, I mean, how often are you ever going to see Kansas City as an underdog at home? Very unusual, so got to take that when the opportunity presents itself. Now we are on to Sunday Night Football. Atlanta goes on the road to Minnesota, 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night. Minnesota -4.5. Over under set at 44.5. You've got Kirk Cousins returning to Minnesota as a backup now. That should be interesting. I don't know. This game's a little confusing. I think after the Monday night win, J.J. McCarthy is going to be a little hyped up. Now you get a Sunday primetime game. I don't know if the lights are going to be too bright at home, but I would probably trust that head coach and Kevin McConnell. But I think Penix and the Falcons can keep this one close. I like what they did through the air and on the ground last game. If Bijan Robinson looks that lethal in the backfield and out of it catching passes, then I don't know if the Vikings got what it takes to to stop them on this one, because the Vikings were a little susceptible to Caleb Williams running around in the pocket. I know Michael Penix is not that much of a scrambler or a runner, but he did make a crazy rushing touchdown that looked unlikely on Sunday afternoon. And if he can get the ball to Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson, then I believe in the Falcons in this game. So I'm going to take Atlanta plus the 4.5. I don't like it. It's kind of smelly. But I think the Sunday Night Lights first start at home for J.J. McCarthy, maybe the lights are a little too bright, and maybe they get it clicking in the second half like they did the other night. But I think Penix is a bit more established. I like what they're doing down there in Atlanta. And I think they can keep this close within the 4.5, lose by a field goal, and win a bet for us. All right, moving on to Monday night. There are 2 games on Monday night, so make sure you pay attention to that. They do start early. Tampa Bay on the road at the Houston Texans. Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern time kick. Houston is favored minus 2.5 points, and the over-under is set at 42.5. Why on God's green earth is the Texans favored by 2.5 points when they only put up 9 points last week against the Rams? Please explain that to me. I do not understand. This team is not that good. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers are a much better team, in my opinion. Both teams were in a battle last week. The Bucs and the Falcons was a back and forth game, not more than like one possession the entire game. So were the Texans and the Rams, but damn, like you only put up 9 points against the Rams. Aaron Donald is not on that team anymore. You should be able to do more with that. And the fact that the Rams only put up 14, that's a pathetic way to go, CJ Stroud. I'm not impressed by the Texans right now. I am more impressed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't like this one either. It's a little smelly, but Tampa plus the 2.5. I do like the over 42.5 in this game. I think Tampa can put some points on the board, and CJ is going to have to sling the ball around to want to keep up with Baker. So I like the over in this game, but I kind of think wrong team favored. I mean, if Tampa just puts up 23 points like they did last week and the Texans put up 9, this is an easy cover. Easy cover. So, yeah, I don't know. That one's a weird one, but I like Tampa Bay. Last game on the slate, Monday night, 10 o'clock, we have the LA Chargers on the road at the Las Vegas Raiders. Chargers favored minus 3.5 points. Over-under is set at 46.5. Both teams won. Both teams covered the spread. Stats pretty similar. Pass yards per game, third and second. Defensive pass yards allowed per game, 24th and 27th. I'm not finding a lot of differences in these two teams right here. I don't think I did this but once last season, but I'm going to back the Raiders. I like what I saw out of Geno Smith, and even though it was limited, 19 carries, 38 yards for Ashton Jeanty, I like that he got into the end zone in his first game. Brock Bowers had a huge game as well, so I think Geno and Brock definitely have a little connection going already, which if that's the case, every other team look out, because that dude is definitely going to lead all tight ends in pass yards or reception yards. He is a monster. So, yeah, I think I'm going to bet the Raiders plus the 3.5 in this game. I might sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. I don't know. I mean, Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert in year 2, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith reunited. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I can't really say why, except for Geno and Genti. That's my only reasoning. Herbert and Harbaugh are going to be a formidable force, and maybe they win this game by 2-3 points. But I think Vegas can cover a field goal, so I'm going to stick with the Vegas plus 3.5, and that is my pick for that game. And that is the end of the slideshow. Let's slides. There we go. All right. Well, thank you, anybody and everybody who takes a listen to this. I really appreciate any support that I can get here on YouTube. Again, I'm just an average guy making picks, wanting to show my vision of NFL and gambling to the rest of you all out there. You can not take my advice. You can argue with me in the comments if you want to. Tell me why you think one of my picks is bad. I'm happy to hear it. I'd love to hear the criticism. I'd love to hear your opinions and just talk with anybody else. That is why the channel is called Steele Talkin Sports, because I am Jay Steele and I never want to stop talking sports. So thank you if you listen. Please like, subscribe, pass this along to a friend, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.